Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Happy Hustle live show, episode 106. Tonight, I want to talk about your childhood and the things that you used to do as a child. So, this is sparked for a couple of reasons. The first one is that we asked a question over in the free Happy Side Hustle community. And if you're not in there, you need to jump in that group. Asking, what is it that you did as a child that you still do as an adult? I'm actually just going to get the answers up here because it was really interesting. And it got me thinking, so there was lots of funny answers. There was a particularly funny answer from my cousin who said, eat crisps, which was a bit of a pastime in our family when we were young. There's a brilliant photo of me and my cousin eating crisps, and I think she would claim I was pulling her hair to get the crisps. I think that's the story. It may well have been, I have no idea. But hold on, let me just see if I can find the post. While I give people a chance to find me. Where is it? Okay, can't find it. What it's doing is, because I am scrolling over on my other screen, it's making my Wi-Fi all go funny. Hold on, let me see if I can get this back. No. Right, hold on. If anybody is listening, I'm gonna leave and I can come back again. I'll be back in like 1 minute. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, 5 minutes in, I had to completely reboot my computer. So if you're watching this on replay, forward to 5 minutes, 20 seconds until I come back again. And thank you for the 2 people that are still watching, probably perplexed, wondering what on earth is going on. Yeah, my computer forced an update right in the middle of that, which is, yeah, great. There's another error message. Anyway, let me just click ignore. Anyway, back to what I was saying. When you were a child, what were the things that you remember doing? What are the things that when you look back on your childhood is like how you fondly spent your time? Like, what are those things? So I've looked it up on my phone now so I don't like cause the computer to crash by looking up on a different screen. But one of the questions that we asked over in the Happy Side Hustle community earlier this week is, what did you used to do as a child that you still do now? Okay, and I'll tell you some of the answers. So Claudia put play outside, jump in puddles, pick up worms. Love it. Denise said, annoy my brother. I love that. Kath said, idolize the same pop band twins. Deborah said, reading. Michelle said, crochet because her nan taught her it when she was young. Joanna said, eat rubbish. I'm familiar, Joanna. Dee said, dance. Sheila said, smell new books. Oh, do you remember that? Just the joy you got in childhood from things that are just like, as adults, don't necessarily occur to you to do. I love that you're still smelling new books, Sheila. And there is that. I mean, that's where ebooks and Kindle and stuff have stolen a little bit of that joy from us, haven't they? They've stolen a little bit of that kind of ebook or that new book smell. My cousin Emma said, eat crisps. If you caught the very first part of this where it cut off, I'll go back and delete it, so I'll tell you again. Me and Emma used to love eating crisps when we were young. Emma is like a year younger than me, so we grew up together with all my other cousins as well. Yeah, we did a lot of eating crisps. Sarah says, ride horses and collect treasures from the beach. Sarah is a brilliant example of someone who is really tuned in to what she loved doing as a child and has just made sure that that has been a key theme through her life. Like, she's just made it such an amazing focus. And Sarah also has a litter of puppies at the moment. Like, Paula says sailing and gardening, which again, that just feels so calming. So sailing, like I've never been sailing. I've been on a cruise. No, that's not proper sailing. But it just sounds so peaceful. I love watching below deck sailing yacht. Kathy says sewing. Yeah, again, I used to I used to do a lot of sewing when I was younger. Yeah, that's making me think, Kathy, because I haven't, as much as I watch people sewing in these groups all the time, it hasn't really occurred to me to even get my sewing machine out. I actually really love altering things. Hold on, there might be another side hustle coming. This is dangerous. But I really like buying clothes and then going, oh, but I wish that they had, oh, hi, Katrina, you got your level 2 sailing certificate. Oh, wow. That sounds like really official. What level do you have to just like sail your own boat? Katrina, is it level 2 or is there other levels? Let me know. But yeah, I really like buying things and altering them. You know, so if I buy a dress and I think, oh, it's a bit too long, I like taking it up. I just like that. I don't know. I like to take something and just make it a little bit different, if that makes sense. So I totally get you, Kathy Joyce. Karen says, collect old things. Collect old things. Yes. Oh, Karen, yes, I know, because Karen loves her vintage. Grow plants in the garden. That is one thing that I have never been good at doing. I know Claudia in here is our absolute gardening expert. Colouring in. Lee says colouring in. I've got a couple of adult colouring in books. I've been lucky enough to get them as gifts, and I've thought about, well, Kat, you and I have had a chat about like creating colouring in books, haven't we? Like how to do that and have our own range of colouring in books. Oh, I'm coming up with a list of side hustles for myself here from this. let's see, level 2 meant I could hire a small sailing boat with the course. But I did the course because my big brother and dad had done it. But then we never actually had a boat. Hey, why don't you just start now? Like, why don't you leave? I don't know what age you did that at, Kat, but why don't you like leave 15 years between when you did it and now and just like hire a boat and see what happens? Anne who reads so many books. So Anne has kept her passion for reading, which is lovely. Steph who reading and colouring books. I'm feeling like the universe is telling us a sign. Oh, Cassie, you don't need to hear any more side hustle ideas. Cassie has so many side hustle ideas. There is definitely a side hustle and being a side hustle ideas person. Becky says, eat far too much sugary stuff. Yeah, you would think as an adult that would become less appealing, wouldn't you? But I haven't found that. Marianne says tap dance, like she's tap danced from childhood right through. Do you remember that ad? I don't even know what it was for. Was it for like a yogurt or something? But it was the guy who came out of his house every morning, like, and as a child, and he used to jump over the wall at the bottom of his garden to go to school. And then he continued to do it as an adult. Was it for activity or something? It might not be. It might be something completely different. But the moral of it was like, if you just keep like whatever you used to do in childhood, if you just keep doing that, like just keep doing it every day, you'll never stop doing it. But what this is about, so Claire says read books and Claire Collins says roller skate. Oh, roller skating. Oh, Claire, that takes it back. Like when I was younger, the roller discos. Used to love that. I did a sponsored roller disco with my friend Karen when I was about, I don't know, what we would have been 13, 14. And we did like an all night roller disco. It was like one of my biggest achievements of my teenage years. It was so much fun. But yeah, I think there's something in that, if you think back to this ad of the kid jumping over the wall every morning and then the adult and then going into like I can't even remember how old they were when the kind of sequence stopped. You'll probably remember the ad I'm talking about, but certainly into kind of I don't know, later adulthood like I'm in, continuing to do that and the whole, remember, we're always talking about emotion in our side hustle and selling emotion in our marketing, but the whole kind of philosophy of that ad was that childlike wonder, that childlike joy, and keeping that as an adult, like, or rediscovering it as an adult. And I think, so my thoughts have turned to this because of you a little bit, Cassie, and the conversations that we've been having over in the hive around all the potential things that you could be doing. But also because, oh, no worries, Kat. Because the happy side hustle idea inside you experience, which used to be called the Find Your Perfect Side Hustle Idea Challenge. But I think people don't love the word challenge, and it isn't really challenging. It's like more of an experience. So I'm calling it experience, but I think I'm confusing people. Anyway, the next 5-day thing is at the end of April. So I there's quite a lot of prep that goes into doing it behind the scenes that you don't really need to be bothered about. But it's because I'm doing that in the background, it's getting me to think about, so when we were kids, when I was a child, and when we're all children, if you look at children now, nearly all children are creative. They are artistic. They write, they paint, they draw, they sing, they roller skate, they colour in a lot of the things that you've put in your list. Like lots of children do that. That's just kind of what you would expect for a child. And it just got me thinking, like, at what point in your life do you go, right, I'm going to stop that? I only remember consciously thinking that once in my life. So I used to love playing with Cindy. So if you're of a certain age, you'll understand what that is. And if you're young, you won't know what, Cassie, this will be over your head. But Cindy was like a much more realistic version of Barbie. Like Cindy was just like when toys just looked like actual women instead of like before Barbie came along with her no ribs and all of that. Anyway, used to love playing with Cindy, had Cindy dolls. I grew up as an only child, as you know, but I was dead close to my cousins and they used to come over and play with my Cindy dolls, and they would bring their Cindy dolls and stuff. And it's a real fond memory of my childhood. And we used to play all these different things. Like, I remember as we got older and I started to become aware that it maybe wasn't that cool, but I still loved doing it. I don't know what age I was. And my cousins would say we're just a wee bit younger. Like, my eldest cousin's just like a year younger than me, and then my other cousins are just like my next cousin is like 3 years younger than me, and then 4 or 5 years. Anyway, so but they used to love playing it as well. And I remember one day they came. They probably watched this actually. I don't know if I've told you this story, but I remember one day they came across to my house with their Cindy's to play Cindy. And at this point, we'd kind of evolved Cindy into, like, Cindy's now going to university, or Cindy's got a job and she's going out and she's, Cindy's working for the civil service, or whatever it was at the time. And so I was trying to kind of make it like grown up so I could justify to myself that I was still playing with Cindy. But I remember the day that they came over really excited to play Cindy. And I remember saying, "Oh, I think I'm a bit grown up for Cindy now." And they were my memory is they were devastated. They maybe weren't. They probably tell us in a different way, or it probably isn't on their radar at all. But it was like something that I really looked and my inner child, like, if you'd looked inside me, I totally want to play with Cindy with them. But there was this point where I thought, it's not cool. Not that was ever cool. I don't know why that was crossing my mind, but and it just made me feel really sad, because I thought, right, so as an adult, like, yeah, maybe I don't want to, but maybe I don't want to go back to getting. I don't know. I probably would play with Cindy again. Like, I probably would. Be dead good to put on all the clothes and everything and all the stuff that we used to do, but it's just a bit of a pattern, isn't it? Like, as a child, you're this free spirit generally, and you're encouraged to do anything, and whatever you do is so cute, and everybody claps, and you come home with your gluing from nursery and everybody's delighted. And then there comes a point where you just kind of stop getting that positive feedback, or you feel it in yourself, or you start to become aware that maybe other people appear to be doing things better than you, or there's just so many potential reasons. But whatever those reasons are, it's just sad, isn't it? It's just sad that when I put that question in the group, or to be fair, when Jillian put that question in our group earlier this week, and I looked at the things that people were still doing, it gave me a bit of a pang to go, well, why is everybody not still doing the things that they loved in childhood? Like, what stopped you, and whatever has gone into your head to make you go from, I'm a great artist, or I really enjoy, like, I loved art at school. And my story in my head is, I wasn't that good at it, but I loved doing it. But that good at it might just mean that I didn't. Oh, hold on. The oven, like, 1 minute, right? The oven's pinging. Just hold on 1 minute. 1 minute. Right back. Right, I'm back. So that was all supposed to be perfectly timed until my computer rebooted. Anyway, yeah, I'm not going to burn it. So actually, nothing's for tea, Cassie, for me and Neil, because we had like we had a late lunch, not a big lunch, but we had a late lunch. and we're going out to the pub quiz because it's Thursday. So we're not actually having anything, but we're leaving the kids. So I felt I had to put something on for the kids. I'm leaving right after this. So that's what's all going on there. So incredibly professional. Let me see. Hi, Tracy. Cassie, you probably stop it when you start listening to the negative opinions of other people. Yeah, and it's interesting because I'm just going through that in my head, Cassie, and going, so who told me I wasn't good at art? Well, it was probably objective from the O level that I did in art, and I got a B, which I think is quite good. But like all the people that got A's, you then compared yourself to the A people. But what's interesting is that like an art O level is within that framework, isn't it, of what's deemed to be like good, like an artist within that kind of sphere. Do you know what I mean? Within that sort of framework of particular types of art. But actually, I really, really love just painting where so we talk about this is all about turned into all about my cousins. But when I better not tell you actually. No, I better not tell you. It's a secret. I'm gonna stop telling you that. Okay, let me see. You probably stop when you're a teenager and you want to act grown up in front of your friends. Yeah, that was me, Tracy. That was me. And you suddenly become self-aware, don't you? And you become aware of things that people might laugh at or people might have an opinion on. And what's really thanks, Tracy. But what's really joyful about the challenge, I'm just dead excited about the challenge coming up again at the end of the month of the experience, is that people start to rediscover things that for whatever reason in their head they don't think is good enough. So when people are registering for the challenge, so I'm very grateful to everybody that's sharing it. There's lots of people that are sharing it for me that have been through it and kind of are sharing it on their social media or in groups they're in where that's allowed. And I'm so grateful, which means we've had quite a few people register for the challenge already, even though I haven't actually started Facebook ads or anything for it. But when people are registering for the challenging, there's a box in there. It's actually when they join the community group, which is, anyway, long story, but there's a box in there which basically says, what's your biggest challenge, like with a side hustle? And so many people put in that box the confidence. I've just not got the confidence to do it. Like people probably, my stuff isn't going to be, I'm not good enough. The stuff isn't good enough. People aren't going to like it. And that's just so incredibly heartbreaking. And that's why I love the experience, because I hope that over the week people build their confidence. And it's a bit to do with me, but it's a lot to do with the community and the ambassadors and everybody that kind of really sort of has everybody's backs and really gets it. But when I look at all the side hustles that have been created over the last 2.5 years from kind of delivering these challenges, like there's just so many incredible. I get blown away by the things that people create, whether it be a product or a service. There's lots of amazing services as well, and lots of people that have just really stepped into like being of service to other people through services, like around coaching and courses, and like Joanne with her beer school, and like there's just so many. I don't know. Anyway, the point is, when you were young, you were probably super creative, like super, super creative. And I want you to just take yourself right back and go, and this is to you, Cassie, as well. What is it? What did you used to do in childhood that you don't no longer do now? I know, Cassie, that you still do lots of the stuff you did in childhood with your riding and your archery and all of that stuff. But I'm wondering if there's anything else when you can look back fondly, and this is to everyone, when you look back fondly in your childhood, like I loved creating pom-poms. Like, did anybody else like do that? Loved creating pom-poms. Like that was, do you know what else I loved doing? I loved drawing Sad Sam. Does anybody remember Sad Sam? It was like, do you know why it's on my mind? Because I bought this. Look at this gorgeous keyring bag charm from Lynn Turberville. It's just so cute. But that face there, that's Sad Sam. It's just occurred to me as I've been talking to you. I loved, like, I loved making things. I always loved. You didn't do anything as a child. You were too shy and reserved. Are you joking, Cassie? Were you honestly too shy and reserved, or are you joking? I don't know if you're joking, Cassie. You've got a brilliant dry sense of humor, so I don't know if you genuinely mean that you've really stepped into yourself, or if you're being sarcastic that you were like a total extroverted child. Let me know. Let me know what you really mean there. Because I wasn't like I definitely wasn't an extroverted child. As I say, I grew up as an only child. I just like, yeah. I can't think of any creative things that I did when I was younger that I don't do now. I'm always making something. But that's brilliant, Tracy. But even not making things. So hold on, right now I'm in chairs on the dodge as well. Not even just making things, but thinking wider than that. Like, what else did you love? Like, what did you love talking to people about? What did you love helping people with? What games did you play? Like, what was it that, because all children are so different, and it's about going, like, how do we recapture as much of that childhood joy as possible? Because we're born joyful. Like, we're born without the weight of the world. We're born without the experiences and the opinions and the judgments of other people. And if you can really connect back in with what it is that you used to love doing, and you can then monetize that as a side hustle now, like, not only are you creating this extra pot of money for luxuries like dream holidays, but you're also recapturing that childhood joy. Like, that's kind of carefree. Let's see. You didn't even go to friends' birthday parties. Really, Cassie? Wow. Well, that's amazing, because clearly you are super confident now. Life started when you were 20. Kat, I no longer climb trees. Yeah. You also haven't made a friendship bracelet since high school. Yes. Do you remember friendship bracelets? Yes. And friendship bracelets are like, see, if someone made me a friendship bracelet now, I'd be like, really. It's back to when somebody goes to the trouble of making something, creating something that they think you would like. It's just a billion times better than an expensive gift from a shop, I think. Tracy, I was very quiet and shy. I didn't really speak much. If you meet me in person, I'm still the same. Well, you don't come across like that, Tracy. But so here's the thing. I would say so I haven't done a lot of, so my background's in psychology, as you probably know. I've done quite a lot of work with psychometric tests over the years. I used to be a accredited psychometric test invigilator, like back in the day when I first graduated. But more recently, it's through my kind of day job and learning and development and working with some of the personality assessments. And I would say, just in my experience, a lot of people who appear extrovert are not really, including me. Like, I'm a total, if you think about introvert, so introvert and extrovert, the kind of accepted definitions, it would, you would think of the extrovert as being the life and soul of the party, and the introvert being the kind of quiet one in the corner. And whilst there is a little bit of that, that's not like the true definition. It's more about, I think for me, it's more about, where do you recharge your energy? Do you like to be constantly surrounded by people in a group? Is that where you recharge? Or just sometimes you need to kind of take yourself away on your own and just spend time on your own and kind of recharge there? And that's definitely me. And probably because it was my childhood and I'm so used to it. And it gets a bit overwhelming if I'm around people all the time. But at the same time, I crave that as well. Anyway, daisy chains. Hi, Dee. Daisy chains. Oh, do you know what? Can you think of an afternoon better spent than lying on grass and making daisy chains? Like, so lovely. I definitely come across as extrovert. I'm definitely an introvert. I'm only yeah, Kat, yeah. And I think it took me a long time to understand that that's what I was, and to be able to say, like, I'm a total introvert, but I'm an introvert who takes action and pushes myself out of my comfort zone, like you are, Kat, like you are, Cassie, like you are, Tracy. So it's about being aware of how you recharge your energy, but also like understanding the kind of joy you get from that connection as well, I think. It's a lot easier to chat online as you're not face to face with someone in real life. I'm a bit of a hermit. That's why we moved to the middle of nowhere. But I think if you can, I think if you can chat online, if you can connect online, it's just, you still build relationships. Anyway, I'm getting totally distracted here, but it is really nice to talk to you. The point of this is, because the oven's beeping again, because I had a 10-minute interval there, so I have to not burn the kids' dinner before we go out. The point of this is that whatever lit you up as a child, like, take time to think back to that. Take time to reminisce about those moments that are memorable positively in your childhood. Like, what was connected with that? And then go, have I still held on to that as an adult? Or if I haven't, how do I reconnect with that? How can I bring that back? And it might be a side hustle. It might not. It might just be something that you kind of reconnect with so that you can just spend more time enjoying. You don't have to monetize it. But when we start thinking about side hustle ideas, which is coming up in a couple of weeks, it's such a great thing to think about. It's such a great thing. I'm literally hiding in the kitchen so I can be alone. So, Kat, well, I remember when my children were young, though, as well. And sometimes you were like, could you just give me a minute to have a shower? Or, like, I remember that. But as I said to you the other night, was it you or was it Susie? I can't remember anyway. When they're 17 and 19 and they're just in the rooms with the doors closed all the time, you will think back to these days fondly. But I get it. I do get it. I get plenty of time to recharge now on my own. Anyway, the thought I want to leave you with is drawing, sewing, cycling. I still do 2 of them. Well, add in whatever one you don't do, add it back in, Tracy. Add it back in just even as a hobby, just to recreate that joy. The question that I ask everybody during the challenge, and those of you who've been through it probably remember it, is say if you had no demands on your time on a lazy Saturday morning, afternoon, what would you do? What would you do? If there was no demands on your time and money was no issue, like, what would you do? And then do more of that. See those things you've always wanted to return to them. Return to them. Okay. I'm going to go because it's pub quiz night. We didn't go last week because the house was full of COVID. Now there's only one COVIDer left in the house, but he's isolating and I've had a PCR. I'm fine. So out we go. We're back to our pub quiz tonight. Have a wonderful evening, everybody, and a wonderful weekend, whatever you're up to. I've got doing something dead exciting at the weekend that I'll tell you about on Monday. Yeah, I will speak to you all on Monday evening. Take care. Bye.